Under the scorching sun of Phnom Penh, Norodom Boulevard today no longer has room for traffic. The avenue that once symbolized the rhythm of urban life has been transformed into a vast ocean of people stretching beyond the horizon. Millions of Cambodians, elderly men and women bent with age, Buddhist monks in radiant saffron robes, and students whose faces still carry youthful innocence, have come together in a march unlike any other. There are no stones, no violence, no blind fury so often associated with conflict. Instead, what envelops the city is a heavy atmosphere of mourning and a desperate plea for survival. In their hands are hastily written banners in Khmer, Thai, and English. The handwriting may be uneven, the wording varied, but the message is singular and unmistakable. Thailand, please stop. Cease fire or we die. Protect Cambodia with peace. The chants echo across the sky, thunderous yet restrained. These are not cries of battle. They are the anguished voices of a nation standing at the edge of an abyss, begging its neighbor to end the war and urging its own government to wake up before the last lives are lost. Tears stream down the faces of women who have lost their husbands, of children who will never again feel their father's embrace. Together they paint a haunting picture of the true cost of conflict. This uprising is not spontaneous. It is the result of unbearable pressure built up as tensions between Thailand and Cambodia spiraled beyond all limits of endurance. What began as disputes surrounding the Preah Vihear temple has now evolved into a full-scale war, forcing Cambodians to confront a brutal truth. Their nation is simply too weak to sustain such an unequal confrontation. In just a few short weeks, thousands of soldiers of the Royal Cambodian Armed Forces have been killed. Border defenses collapsed under the superior firepower of the opposing side. Images of trucks carrying the bodies of fallen soldiers back home under the cover of night have shaken the conscience of the entire nation. Cambodians are beginning to realize that patriotism at this moment does not mean cheering for war. It means finding a way to stop it. While protesters fill the capital, tragedy unfolds hour by hour along the border regions. Along National Highways 5 and 6, endless columns of evacuees stretch across the land like deep scars carved into the country's body. Tens of thousands of families from border provinces flee southward, clutching their children, leaving behind homes, farmland, and generations of labor. Refugee camps hastily erected are overwhelmed from the very first day. Clean water is scarce, medicine is insufficient, and above all, fear dominates the eyes of children. An economy already heavily dependent on border trade and tourism has ground to a halt. Inflation surges, rice and fuel prices in major cities triple, and millions are pushed toward hunger and despair. No one denies the courage of Cambodian soldiers, but in modern warfare, bravery cannot compensate for technological inferiority. Military reports reveal that key divisions have been cut off, supply lines severed. Soldiers on the front lines are not only fighting the enemy, but also starvation and ammunition shortages. A sense of abandonment and helplessness spreads. Promises of swift victory dissolve into the grim reality of ruined border towns and abandoned cities. Back in Phnom Penh, the demonstrations no longer resemble spontaneous outbursts of anger. They have evolved into a profound, organized social movement, carrying immense moral and spiritual weight. For the first time in modern history, the Cambodian people are exerting pressure on their own government, urging it to accept defeat to save the nation's lives. Standing out among the sea of people are long lines of Buddhist monks walking silently. Gone are sermons about distant nirvana. Instead, they speak of the sanctity of life and compassion in times of chaos. Barefoot on scorching asphalt, they chant prayers for the souls of fallen soldiers. The presence of the monastic community, the highest moral authority in Cambodian society, has granted legitimacy to the call for humanitarian surrender. Their message is clear. Ending the war is not cowardice, it is compassion. Beside the monks stand groups dressed in white mourning clothes. They are families who have just received death notices from the front. They do not shout for revenge. They hold portraits of loved ones and kneel quietly before government buildings. Images of mothers collapsing in grief, trembling hands raising signs that read, "Don't let our children die anymore for empty pride," have pierced even the hardest hearts. Intellectuals and university students, once considered the spark of nationalist fervor, have become the most sober voices. They organize open forums right on the streets, publicly analyzing the economic and military disparity between the two nations. "We cannot use eggs to smash rocks," declares a professor from the Royal University of Phnom Penh through a loudspeaker. If this war continues for 3 more months, our economy will completely collapse. We need our children back in the fields, not as cannon fodder. Hawkish slogans demanding total sacrifice have vanished, replaced by painfully rational messages. Land can be regained, lives cannot. The Cambodian people have awakened. They understand that loving one's country no longer means intoxication with wounded pride, but the courage to endure humiliation today to ensure survival tomorrow. This wave of peace quickly transcends national borders. From Tokyo and Seoul to Paris and Washington, the Cambodian diaspora, often deeply divided by politics, has found a single common denominator: the survival of the nation. In Japan and South Korea, home to hundreds of thousands of Cambodian workers, massive demonstrations erupt. "We work ourselves to exhaustion to send money home to build houses, not bunkers," one laborer says through tears. They threaten to stop remittances if the funds are diverted to war, creating direct economic pressure on the government. In Europe and the United States, Cambodian intellectuals draft petitions to the United Nations and Western governments demanding an end to arms supplies and urging an immediate ceasefire at any cost. Survivors of past genocide step into the streets, haunted by memories of devastation, sending a stark message back home. Accept losing land to save lives. Do not let pride destroy the future once again. Under this immense pressure, the Cambodian government is pushed into a corner. Leaked ceasefire conditions are brutally harsh, widely seen as an insult to national dignity. Yet the response from the streets is cold, pragmatic, and devastatingly honest. Cambodia has no other choice. "If we don't concede, we will lose everything," says a retired soldier in tears. People are the foundation of a nation. Save them today, and tomorrow may still exist. This choice is agonizing, but it reflects a remarkable maturity and political consciousness. People now understand that a nation's strength in the 21st century is not measured by the volume of its slogans, but its ability to protect safe, dignified lives for its citizens. The pressure of millions forces the government to contemplate the hardest decision of its existence, bowing to an adversary so it may stand tall before its people and let them live. As dusk falls over the Tonle Sap River, millions of candles are lit in the hands of protesters. Those small flames merge into a gentle sea of light, sending a final message from the heart of a nation. Lower your weapons to take one another's hands. Let us live so that tomorrow we may still have a chance to rebuild a stronger Cambodia, not with bombs and bullets, but with painful memories transformed into an enduring desire for peace. Thank you for watching this story. If you found it meaningful, please subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video. And now it's time to say goodbye. Thank you for staying with Societal Stories.